Welcome, happy Sunday, and thank you for joining us. Episode 2 of Zealots of Zul. I'm Cliff Dunn, your host, Dungeon Master, and co-creator of ZealZaddy. And I'd like everybody, before we begin, before we introduce the characters, I just want to let's introduce everybody, and then we'll before we get started. Starting with the who's on the top array? I can't. Are you? You're right. Okay, so starting with you, Jake.
My name's Jake, and I play Alexides. I'm a noble from Granapur in the Iranian Empire.
Ah, yay!
Hi.
Or boo, depending on
Depending on how you feel about it.
right.
I'm Scott. I play Arslan, and I am a procurer of material goods in Badashar. I have a stall in the bazaar, and I've made a lot of friends in the time that I've grown up here. I think I'm the only one that grew up here, right? I don't remember if anyone else did.
Hard to tell.
We'll have to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Anna. I play Sabine, who is a bard, and she is a singer, dancer, storyteller, courtesan, full service sort of bard stuff. And it's difficult for people quite to place her accent. Is she from Badashar? Is she from somewhere north? Is she from somewhere east or west? It's very hard to tell. She just seems to be able to blend fairly well.
She has the equivalent of the radio voice. In other words, you've lost your regional. You have no regional accent. It's just you're good in all time zones.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Kyle. I'm playing our resident ranger, Kepri for short. I'm here.
Kepri for short of.
His full name is Ibn al-Kepri, which is a combination of two different languages, Kimish and Almarak, but that's neither here nor there. Means
No, it's there and there.
a little bit. It means son of the scarab. And yeah.
Hi, I'm Alex, and I play Anupam Dewar. He's a monk. He comes from the Protectorate of Gurdwara, and is currently trying to find a way to avenge his fallen order.
And I am a cast of thousands. So before we begin, I want to thank. I want to just remind everybody and everyone that's tuning in, and thank you for tuning in. By the way, we want to thank all of our followers that are joining us on Twitch. Those of you who are following us on our Facebook page, which is ZealZaddy. Zealots of Zul also has its own Facebook page. We appreciate you following us on Twitch, and we have Discord also, thanks to the excellent efforts of Scott and Jake, who have really been
golf claps all around.
Doing a yeoman service on the tech aspects. I'm an actor, which is it's beyond me. But I want to also thank our hosts who are our most important sponsor, the fantastic folks at the Adventure Game Store and Dragon's Lair, and their newly opened Adventure Game Society, of which we are broadcasting live from Studio Yellow. Brian and Glenn, Cameron and Keith and their team. These are guys that really have their. It's interesting, there's people that come into their store, and they've been in business for 30 years, in the same general location. And there's a really cool. They have a great provenance, a great heredity associated with the Adventure Game Store, because many years ago, talking 40 years ago. There was a chain which is actually still in existence. It still exists in New York, the Complete Strategist. That's complete with an EAT. Had a store down here in Davie, Florida, outside of Greater Fort Lauderdale, and the store operated sort of at the very end of their chain. I was your kindly dungeon master, was a manager at that store at some point in my misspent youth. and then not for a very short period of time, and then not long after that, Brian Dalrymple, who is our host and the managing partner here at the Adventure Game Store in Dragon's Lair here in Davie, Florida. He and a partner of his took over the strat when the owners of the Complete Strategist decided to close the Florida store. They took over the inventory that was down here, and they opened up their own operation, which it's hard to believe because I was just barely a child in swaddling clothes when I worked there myself. And by the way, the microphone is on, right? Just want to make sure. This is good stuff. This is good stuff.
Wondering why we're all just staring ahead blankly.
And I mean, I'm used to that though at this point. But so the Complete Strategist, or the Strat as it was lovingly called, closed, and Brian and his partner then in the day, Tommy, opened up. Saw a need in this market where there were so many gamers, so many people that really relied on our local game store, and now. Many years later, I mean, they've been in this business. They've been here 30 years, and Brian, of course, is a.
Go on.
Brian's himself is a heritage figure in the gaming industry, having recently completed his service of decades on the board of the Gaming Manufacturing Association, and so we're very excited. He's dedicating his efforts, as someone once said, and I later originated it. Success is a magnitude of intensity. So, he's focusing his energies, and we're certainly very excited about being a part of that success. And so we're glad to be here, and we hope you will join us live. You can't see it on camera, but there's a fantastic large game facility out there with not one or two, but 3 games going on outside of the studio here where we are. And then next door in the main store, they have games going on also. So, and you'll find hard to find games, and the thing that really matters most in the gaming industry now, as it gets bigger and bigger, and as Dungeons and Dragons continues to be the most popular selling board game of its genre, and we have more people coming into the real key is to finding people that are going to help you play the right way and have a good time and enjoy the experience. I remember high school. This is before smoke signals replaced sign language. But the excitement that I had when I first played Dungeons and Dragons, and I know everybody here has a similar story and a similar expectation that they brought to the game and to what we wanted to experience. And so I hope in a very real way that we will help you on that success journey here with our campaign, and that you'll get a taste of that here also. So again, thank you, mine host, Brian and Glenn, who is the manager, one of the partners, of course, and is the in charge here on Sundays when we broadcast. Keith and Cameron and everybody here. Too numerous to mention, too precious to forget. But we thank you for hosting us, and we'll do our part to honor the brand. So when last we met, our party of intrepid zealots had found themselves introduced to one another and to the archpriest of Baal, Harvin of Konox, who's a powerful figure in the city-state of Vadashar. Vadashar is the scene of most of our adventuring. Takes place in the environs of Vadashar. The environs rather than the walls, because it's a wall-less place. It's like the modern office space with no cubicles.
Very welcoming.
It's a very welcoming environment, although not always.
Everyone loves an open work environment.
Right. Everybody loves a cubicle. Right. So, but sadly, so the archpriest had informed each of you that of a cult that had sprung up in Vadashar. Actually, a cult from Vadashar's past that had once served as the rulers of the city-state, but were overthrown about 5 years ago. Certain people that were affiliated with it have apparently not been entirely eradicated. And at the same time that this group, the Watchers of the Eye, who take their name from the moon above, at the same time that they were making themselves known, a low-ranking priest of the cult of Baal stole an artifact of the cult from the archpriest and made his way somewhere into the city environs. It was because of this theft that the archpriest became aware of the cult, and Sabine, who is a bard associated with his court, was sent out to gain intelligence on these Watchers, and after she had done so, the rest of the Zealots came in and were persuaded by the archpriest to engage in this quest to find out who these cultists are, to find them, to eradicate them, to retrieve the book, which is a very old artifact that dates back to the days of the Giant Kings, and to punish the thieves. So when last week, three of the party, Sabine, Kepri, and Arslan, had gone to the Ivory Horn, which was a place that was a shop of an emporium of unusual, some might say strange, some others might say perverse wares for the. But what is perverse when it comes to human pleasure?
Hashtag orgy in the sky.
Hashtag orgy in the sky. Exactly. So our.
And so the guilty corn and all like that, the giant snake dildo.
Right. They were at a t-shirts.
Touche.
Exactly. But they did.
Double the pleasure, double the fun.
They did wrap it for you. So you should always wrap it. Meanwhile, while this was going on, Anupam of Gurdwara and Alexides of Quran had made their way to, or Alex of Quran, as he had decided to aliasticize himself, had decided to do some reconnoitering in Old Town, where it is known that there was a displeasure with the current rulership of the city has its tendrils, and they thought they might be able to do to find some intel on a group called the Legion of Caliph, which is based there and which has an axe to grind with the current administration in the city-state.
They want those kings back.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so Alex and Anupam had made their way to the Gilded Palm, which you had heard was once the best and most popular tavern in Old Town, which is also known as the Medina. It's been open for over a century, but the current owner, who inherited from his father, seems to have been doing his best to knock down the reputation of the place, and it doesn't seem to be particularly well maintained. It needs a coat of paint desperately on the outside. There are two palm trees that are painted on the outside that look like they may have once had gilding for decoration, but long since faded in the sun. And outside, you were accosted by a man who offered to sell you lotus.
We don't need no stinking lotus.
You opted to pass on his
Say no.
Exactly right. But you entered the establishment, and on the other side, as one of the first things you noticed, there was a large mural painted of an old, looks like a royal, on the opposite wall. At the tables there were a dozen or so people, mostly laborer types, having drinks in the common room in the tap area, and you notice, and there's many tables available, by the way. There's tables open. You were going there to reconnoiter the place, right?
Correct.
Did you want to have a little chat amongst yourselves before you...
Last I remember, I had a certain individual.
Yes, the same
Right.
sketchy-looking
Lotus
individual,
dealer.
Lotus dealer. Yeah, exactly. It was coming up to you, asking you what it is you wanted if you didn't want Lotus.
Right. And what, before we pick up there, had you had a chance, Anupam and Alex, had you had an opportunity to sort of work out what your modus was going to be when you got there? And if you want to thrash it out a little bit for a second, figure out what you wanted to do there rather than just galump your way inside, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I think that part of our idea in going to the Gilded Palm was to try to get some semblance of information regarding the current state of things within the city. And I know that one of the things that we were trying to find was a means to contact this cult, the Watchers of the Eye.
Right.
And one of the things that we had learned was that they commonly operate in and around those who have been disenfranchised by society.
Right.
And we had heard that this Legion of Caliph was a group of individuals who were sort of like a union.
They have a similar demographic.
Correct. It was a similar demographic, and so we were trying to go there to see if we could make any inroads to the Watchers of the Eye by way of the Legion of Caliph. Because the Legion of Caliph is a publicly, and for lack of a better term, publicly recognized organization. Everyone kind of knows that they exist. It's a guild.
No, we would consider a terrorist organization, but people do know,
Quite a guild.
right? But people do know of their existence. Yeah, I should clarify that.
They don't have
right.
the legitimacy of a guild.
Right,
much.
they're not right exactly. So they have there's a malcontents.
It's the Rebel Alliance.
Yeah, or
But if the Rebel Alliance was actually the bad guys.
We can have that debate
Oh,
later.
okay. After Streets of Rage.
right. It just depends. Right, exactly. So your plan was to kind of go in and ask around.
Just try and get a sense of what's going on.
Gotcha.
And we were going to act as if we were disenfranchised members of the Vadashar working class who were at odds with the fact that we didn't like the leaders and we wish that the kings of Vadashar would return and make everything good again.
Right.
At the very least, I can convincingly play off somebody who's been disenfranchised in general.
Yeah. That was sort of, I think, our goal in going to the Gilded Palm.
Okay. And I just wanted to make sure that I was on the same page with you. So, and yes, as you enter, you have this moment where somebody's breathing on your neck, and you see that the guy from outside is standing right behind you and says, "If you're not looking for Lotus, what are you looking for?"
Looking for a friendly ear to hear about my misgivings and the mistreatment of myself and my companion here within the city.
And he looks at you and... "Gru, you filthy bastard, get away from them!" And you hear a woman say. And he looks startled. And it's kind of a small voice, but it speaks very loudly. And you see a barmaid comes over, a girl who looks like she's working the room. In fact, you recognized her when you came in. There was one serving maid, and she's young, early 20s. She's got red hair, and she looks like she's working. I mean, looks like she's, her hair is not done up. I mean, she's attractive, but has been working all day, as you can tell. And she looks really pissed also. She's got a really intolerant expression on her face as she comes over. And he backs off. And she looks at the two of you and then sort of walks over to another table and leaves you to your devices. Both of you make a perception roll.
Right. 12. 14.
Okay. So Anupam, actually, you both. I mean, it's a common room in an inn. So and it smells like like the afternoon, but you smell something that's not unfamiliar to you, but you're not 100% sure what it is. But it's something that it's sort of like smelling something that you recognize from some, but you're not, it's there and then it's gone. What do you two do? There's places to sit. There's tables in the tap room, and there's not so much a bar as just there's small round tables and also longer bench style tables.
I would probably just dismiss the whole, probably thinking, oh, that's familiar. Where do I forget about it.
I mean, you've been in, cities kind of smell nasty in some places, and it's not an attractive smell, by the way.
Okay.
But it's not unfamiliar to you.
That's weird. Want to go grab a seat?
Sure.
We'll grab a seat somewhere open and well, let's try somewhere in the middle of the not a booth in at the wall. I suppose go someplace in the middle.
Okay. So you find a table on the wall, near the wall, and along the wall, I should say. And when you sit down, that girl who just shooed away the Lotus dealer outside, she comes over to the table. What's your pleasure, boys?
Do you have banana and onion juice?
She looks at you and she smiles. Sure we do.
I'll take one of those, please.
What about you, friend?
I'll have whatever swill this will buy me, and I put like 1 copper piece on the table.
Okay.
Also, thank you for earlier. Though, I can understand that man's plight. Everyone has to make a living somehow.
Gru, he's loudmouth trash. He can make his living elsewhere.
Understood.
I'll come back with your drinks, with your onion and banana water.
Thank you.
And she leaves. Make another roll, another perception roll.
Another perception?
Actually, you do as well.
That's even lower. 11.
Okay.
Natural 20 for a 25.
Okay.
Somehow when you order made those smell even worse.
So at the next table, you see a man, kind of plump, with a twinkle in his eye, and he looks at you. He makes eye contact. Well, you make eye contact with him, and you see he looks away. He actually, you see he's looking at Anupam first, and then he looks at, and then he sees you looking at him, and then he looks down at his drink. And you, Anupam, that earlier smell that you smelled before is very strong here where you're at. Make another roll. Roll a d20. Tell me what you get.
I'm going to switch die here.
Yeah, mine
Natural
does.
20.
There you go. Well played.
Good timing.
Yeah, there you go.
Here we go, baby.
So, you actually you recognize the smell as rancid ghee, which is for the benefit of those, it's clarified butter,
Yeah.
and you know that, well, you recognize it, as and it's and you remember it from Gandhara. In fact, you rolled a natural 20, so so you remember it. You remember not necessarily from where you are and from where you were from, but there's something familiar about it.
You smell that?
I do, but I cannot place the smell.
Rancid ghee. can't recall where I've smelled this before.
They'd be remiss to use it for cooking.
Yeah. Either that or the kitchen is very, very in need of a health code inspector.
What is that?
Don't know. Anyway.
She comes back with your beers. Well, with your drinks rather. And,
What did I get for 1 copper?
some sort of weak beer.
Okay. It's better than whatever they spit in his drink.
Did I get my onion and banana juice?
It's some kind of weak beer.
It's like not quite what I asked for, but sip it. Thank you.
And she smiles and walks away. And forgive me, friend. Friends, may I interrupt your conversation for a moment?
I'm not sure that you're really interrupting anything worthwhile.
And it's the guy that was looking at you before from the next table who comes over, and he's short and heavy set, and you recognize him as someone from your region of the world. And you also recognize the smell of ghee coming from him.
I'm gonna say in Gandharan, I'm just gonna say, please sit, join us.
And he laughs and says, "You honor me, friend, with the language of our own of our homeland. Thank you. Your friend here, he is also from Gandhara?"
Unfortunately not. Nobody's perfect.
Then we will speak the common tongue, and he switches to common for the benefit of your friend. I am Abik.
Elix.
Well met, my friend. And you?
Anupam.
Anupam. That is a name. That is a name from Arjuna and perhaps that region, yes?
Gurdwara.
Ah, indeed. I have not passed through. I have not passed that way. I am from Harappa, but it has been many years since I am there also, and a look of sadness takes on his face. Forgive me, friends. Tell me what brings you to Vadishar?
Oh, we're just looking for a friendly ear to bend, I suppose you could say.
The city brings with it both danger and opportunity.
Danger more so for some than others, my friend. You are now you
I am in disguise.
right. Sabine had made you up, right?
Yes.
And how disguised are you? I mean, in other words,
Very disguised.
Okay, all right. I mean, do you have like a fake nose on? Do you have?
She would have primarily used makeup, clothing. She's very good with disguise, but more along the lines of like, I don't know if you've seen those kind of like YouTube tutorials
Yeah.
on where people like just use makeup like heavily to like just really make themselves like look different.
Right.
Like
Yes.
coloring,
Sure.
ways
Okay.
to look
And
very
so
different,
so you I guess what I'm asking too is you. I mean, he has a sort of a Near Eastern look cast about him anyway, but you tried to make him look less like.
Tried to make him look Vadisharian.
I got you.
Not like himself.
Okay, more like a local.
Yeah.
Okay, so she dressed you in sort of the clothes of a local, and
I would probably comment that despite the change in appearance, Alexides is not the best at hiding his more noble tendencies in terms of mannerisms.
Right.
And the way that he conducts himself.
Seems legit.
I don't think he'd be able to do that too well.
And just curious, I wanted to so that I know what they see when they look at you. Forgive me, friends. I did not mean to intrude upon you. I can let you return to your conversation if such is your wish.
Oh no, it's quite all right. Please join us.
And he sits down. Make a history roll.
History roll. Oh, I'm great at that.
Are you?
No.
Oh.
That's a 10.
Okay. So yeah, that would be yeah, you wouldn't make it. Okay. So Yeah, that was even at a moderate difficulty. That wouldn't do it, right? No.
Yeah.
Okay, no worries. So he points to his glass, and eventually the girl comes back with a refill for him, and he sits back and looks at the two of you over the top of his glass.
What is it that you were drinking?
He sniffs at it. Whatever piss passes for wine in this place. The grandfather was much better at keeping a provender than the grandson.
The grandfather, the former owner of this place.
His father was the former owner. This place has been here for over 100 years. I have not myself. I am only here in Vadishar since just before the time of the hegemons, so almost 20 years. But they are a family that has lived here in the city for 100. They came, Benjara's grandfather, Jara, came here, I believe, from Al-Murak.
I've not been here long, but I've heard of the time of the hegemon. What was that? Care to elaborate?
My understanding is any people who are scared will look to the strongest wolf, even if it promises to eat one of them. And this was the hegemons. They preached some claptrap and folderol concerning the moon, and promised that a return to virtue, law, and order would forestall whatever doom is in their sacred beliefs. And for a time, the true powers of the city allowed them to rule. There was order, there was less crime, but eventually the soul cries for freedom, and any organization, even one that has a holy writ, will fall victim to the worst impulses of its worst members.
But at its core, would that organization not benefit the downtrodden? This sense of order and...
They would certainly tell the downtrodden that they would be to their benefit, yes. I would think so, but at the end of the day, I have seen these cults. To be a leader or to be a follower, it is always better to be a leader.
Can I roll an insight check on him to
Yeah.
try and get some sense of... I was trying to lead him into the conversation to talk about the hegemons of the Pearl, to get a sense of his personal disposition towards
Make
the
an insight roll.
I was going to jump in on
Go
that,
ahead.
if you don't mind.
Do two.
Alrighty.
That's a 14 on the die for a 17.
That's a 15.
Okay. You get the sense he has sort of an amused affect about these particularly about the hegemons. Probably because they oversold and oversold and underdelivered. You get that sense. He doesn't have any particular feelings of. You don't get a sense that he cares for them.
Interesting. Well, what I heard of them is that they were a right awful group that utilized the downtrodden and underserved members of society for their own benefit, and that they really didn't promise nearly as much as they spoke an outward word.
They appealed to the baser impulses in people to gain control, and they had it for a short period of time, used their powers perhaps well for a short time, but then their leaders were hounded, and as I understand it, all killed judicially by the new powers of the city.
Where I'm from, the real cults, the good cults, have more power. They rule in a manner that is befitting of those that serve them. To the benefit of at least those who are willing to commit to following their traditions.
Priests should represent their gods and should serve their gods, or else not seek to claim the mantle of being a priest. Make another insight roll.
Ooh, that's not nearly as good. That's an
Yeah,
11.
do it, please.
Alright.
Okay.
Oh, that's much better. That's 21 for me.
Okay. So when he says that, you kind of get a sense that he kind of owns that remark. You know, there's something about living up to your about a priest living up to the mantle of one's responsibilities that seem to touch him almost wistfully.
Forgive me, friend, but you speak as if you speak from experience.
And he looks wistfully into his drink and says, "I do. I served gentle Kanandi. Make a roll. Make a history roll.
History? 10.
Okay, that's fine. No. I mean, you would know of regional deity of
Right.
of your country, even if you didn't worship him. Kanandi is a deity of mercy and almost like Ganesha in some ways, you know, and has a small, was once a very well worshipped deity. It still has a very small devoted cult in Harappa, which is the oldest city in Gandhara. So, and you kind of remember also that some mystics in Gandhara practice their worship by spreading ghee on their body, rancid ghee on their body.
Okay.
So you remembered that when he talks about this, that you put two and two together. So
It's starting to click.
yeah.
Well, life of servitude to the church is not really for everyone, is it?
I pity those. I pity such people.
As do I.
Inside, I feel this.
Yeah.
So, how may I assist you, young friends? I am too much into my cups and too much into my own thoughts.
May I make an insight check to see if maybe if you could be trusted with the real intent of our being here?
Go ahead.
Okay. That's a 12.
I mean, he appears to be. You get a good feeling from him.
Okay.
We're looking for those who could help us.
An insight 12, I'm sure it's legit.
We seek those who might be able to assist those in our societal situation. We're looking for work, for lack of a better term.
Many are here. There are many opportunities for laborers to find work in some parts of the city, although perhaps not as many as you would like. But is that the case for you also, my young friend? You are looking for work as a laborer or something?
Actually, I'm already working.
Pray, go on.
I'm gonna just look over Alexides and just... I've heard tell that there's a cult going around that is preying on the downtrodden, on the weaker and more susceptible to seduction by darker means.
In a place such as this, you describe many such agencies and groups. But you mentioned the hegemons. They did not. Their ministry, such as it was not so much those who felt out of power. Rather, they sought to bind together those who had the wherewithal to give them power, and for them to hold on to it. That was the tenuous thing. However, there are others. This place here, for instance, that you have come into, perhaps not by coincidence. There are hotheads and malcontents, such as the one that you just spoke with at the door, who, in addition to his primary
Means of income.
yes, also, I believe, serves to scout out for one of these such groups of which you speak. But there are more than one. There's more than one such group in this city, and even in the Medina, and some of these groups look for the same types of people to join them, even though they themselves may not be the same such organization. If you follow me.
I do.
My own business does not involve any such transactions. I have no congress with superstitions of these natures. But there is a man here that comes in sometimes, and he knows the girl of whom you speak with, the barmaiden. He knows her. She may lead you to him.
What group might he be affiliated with?
The Legion of Caliph.
That's exactly who we're looking for.
Perhaps. But as I said, there are many such groups, and many of them look for the same types of sad, unfortunate types to swell their numbers.
And what do you look for?
Release. But I am a long way from there yet. I have something that I must accomplish before, and I am far from that task yet, friends. But we will speak of that some other time, perhaps.
Perhaps.
He calls over the barmaid, and you guys make another roll.
What type of...
This one's going in jail.
A perception roll.
jail box.
14.
That's a 6.
Okay, a 6 and a 14?
Yeah.
Okay. You notice also in the tap room are a couple of thugs. They look like they're trying to be how to say it? They're trying to be low. They're trying to play it low key, and they're sitting in. I mean, they're not necessarily hiding, but they're sitting at a corner table, basically looking at the people in the room. Not necessarily with any particular ill intent. But you take note of them, and you notice that they look like if there was a fight, that they would be, they would know how to handle themselves in a fight.
What are they wearing?
Leather armor, boots, laborers' clothes, but they have belts on with. It looks like knives, maybe. Each of them might have a knife. One of them might have something else on his a club or a jack. You three, having left the Ivory Horn, your plan was to join them at the Gilded Palm, and so you leave and make your way over across town. Not really across town. You make your way to the. It's actually they're both in the in Old Town. So yeah. So you make your way to the Gilded Palm, and inside you see the scene as I described it earlier. There's long tables with benches. There's round tables, and you see Alexides and Anupam sitting at a small square table with an older man, and they're sharing drinks.
Perhaps we should find an alternate seat until we have received a signal.
Do I notice them coming into the room?
Yes, you do see them come in.
I see you guys come into the room, and I lock eyes with whoever's at the front of your bus.
It's in tight.
I lock eyes with you.
This place smells of ghee.
I lock eyes with whoever walks in at the front of the party, and I motion sort of slightly in the direction of where those thugs are sitting at the opposite side of the room, just to draw your attention to the fact that there are armed individuals.
There's a table over there.
Indeed, it has been quite the day. Is my package still in good condition, dear girl?
Yes, sir.
Let's find a seat and have a foul drink from this place.
By all means, dear God, I am but a humble foreigner, a stranger in a strange land.
Maybe a good place to get Lotus.
I feel the urge has passed me, unfortunately.
Then drinks it is. We'll go work our way over to the table and sit and wait for someone to come.
Everybody make a perception roll.
Come on. That's what matters most. I'm 11.
That's a 7. That's
22?
17.
17? So
No, we're mentioning.
you see a tall man with dark eyes, very dark, smoldering eyes, a long, dark, unkempt beard, step out of a side room, and he makes eye contact with you, Arslan. You've never seen him before. Make a roll a d20. Make a save.
Save.
Uh-oh.
No.
Okay, what'd you roll?
5.
Okay, so you have there's something about this guy that's very for a moment you have a sort of a sense of revulsion that you think comes from the ghee, but it's not. It comes from this guy. There's it's just sort of like there's something about him that you instantly find discomforting.
Well, I'll steer us towards the table a little further away.
Yeah, and he's not there. He's on the other side of the room, and you actually see the barmaid goes over and talks to him, and they have a few words quietly.
It's very disturbing. I'm not quite sure what it is.
You look as if you were someone has trodden on your tomb.
I'd be careful of making contact with everyone here. He seems to be someone I would avoid.
No doubt.
How big is he? You said he's tall.
He's tall. He's over 6 feet tall, and his face looks gaunt, and his eyes were very piercing.
You know what? Sometimes when things seem wrong, you should face them head on. Excuse me one moment. And I'll head over to the guy. Uncomfortably, but to him. You caught eyes with me when I came in. Do I know you from somewhere? And I'll make sure there's a few extra inches than you would normally do when you're making contact with someone, like a half a foot back or a foot back further than normal. Yeah.
Just got to stab the range.
Perhaps, or just out of, I don't know, just an extra foot of comfort.
He looks at you and he. So you have a respectable distance between him,
Yeah.
and he looks at you and you have this.
I guess not. I'm sorry.
He goes to. He's like you see he always wants to reach something, and as you there's a tension. There's a tension in the air between you and he, and the girl. Who is very short. She steps in between the two of you, and at that moment, the doors to the tavern smash in. And
That's behind me, or it's in front of me.
You're towards the back of the tavern, so it would be the front of the behind where I am. Smashes in, and you see two men walk in, and you can tell that there are several men behind them, and. You and Arslan and Kepri make a perception roll.
13.
8.
Okay, you recognize him, Arslan, as the man who comes in who throws the door open. You recognize him as the man who was in the caravanserai, or actually in the Grand Suit the other day when you guys were making your way through the stalls, and almost had almost ran into Kepri.
Carrying the glass between.
Yeah, the carrying the flag in it.
The
But now you see him, and you have a better look at him. He looks like he may be dressed the same way that he was dressed. But you see that he and the guy with him both seem to be wearing uniforms, or whatever they're wearing is a uniform of sort, and they both have their swords drawn. And
How far are they from me?
they're a distance away from you. From you.
And when they come in, are they looking at someone in particular? Are they looking at this guy or? I'll back away from this guy a little bit, and I'll put my hand to my Chris
Okay.
and be ready to draw it. But back away in a way where if it's between those guys and not us, then I'm not necessarily dragged into it. But I want to be ready in case I'm dragged into it.
Everybody roll initiative.
Oh,
I'm dragged into it.
die for this one. Come on.
Oh,
It's not bad.
yeah. That was
21.
bad. I rolled an 8, so I got a 17.
Woo. Jesus.
12.
Okay.
13.
We're going to take a break for nature, and then we're going to come back.
Gotta hook 'em.
Where he goes to get his lottery. Okay.
Game base.
It only takes like 10 seconds to catch up.
Yeah. Okay.
And welcome back. We're back. Are we live?
We're back, yes.
Welcome back to Zealots of Zul. Thank you for staying with us before the break.
Yeah.
Before the break, two men in what appeared to be uniforms walked into the tap room at the Gilded Palm Tavern in the Medina, Old Town of Vadishar, made some unflattering remarks about some of the inhabitants of the establishment with swords drawn, and the Zealots rolled initiative. You said you had a 21? Was it? So what do you do, Arslan? I mean, basically, these guys have entered the room. They appear to have ill intent towards someone.
Right.
Immediately prior to this happening, and your adrenaline is probably pretty high right now because you just had sort of an unintended. Well, you had a confrontation, with this guy who.
He never said anything, right?
He never said anything. He looked at you. He looked very discomfited. I mean, like he didn't know how to respond to you. But you got the sense that
demon in disguise that can't speak.
right, like exactly just like that. But you got the sense that he was dangerous. And then the tap room maid stepped in between, and then he went back into the room from whence he came. And just then, boom, the doors, at around that exact same time, the doors opened up. These two men came in, and they're looking around the room with ill intent. Some of the people in the room everybody's reacted to them, but you get to react first to...
I have my hand on my blade in case I need to pull it. What is this then? We're all here for drinks. And I look at the two who came in.
Right.
You two again?
Roll a d20. Make a history or an insight roll. Whichever one is higher.
15, 17.
Okay. All right. So we'll put a pin in that just for a moment.
Okay.
Nice one. So you barked that out. They Quiet, you dog of an Arabi! And Ellipses, what do you do? And one of them, the one who says that, steps down off the steps into the. It's a sunken tap room.
I'll have my blade come out.
Okay.
I see this going on, and I put my hand on the hilt of my sword, ready to draw it. But I'm not going to get up and actively engage them until they make the first move.
Anupam.
I'm kind of like taking the bow staff out that's slung behind my back, just kind of like keeping it like, folded up behind my forearm. I'm going to look to our new friend and tell him in Gunhard, I'm like, you might want to get to cover. And then I'm going to stand up and go along with the Alexides here.
He says, Abik says, that is the corrupt guards captain, Berza.
I'm gonna go up to where Alexides is, kind of like standing.
Oh, I'm still sitting.
Oh, you're still sitting?
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
Never mind
I
that.
put my hand on my hilt, and I'm got ready to jump in if need be, but I'm not
okay.
making the first move.
Alright, I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna stand up. I'm gonna stand right between them. I'm gonna stand like in their way, basically.
You're gonna get up and
be just like imposing, and I'm gonna hold an attack in case they try to do something.
okay. Sabine.
Um,
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. Apologies, Kepri. You went first. My bad.
Where am I at in this kerfluffle right now? Did we get into we're at our table in the sort of the...
I had gotten up to talk to.
Yeah, you would walked off towards. You're towards the very back of
Right.
the tap room, towards this private doorway, and you guys had taken a table, sort of. I was guessing, kind of in the center of the room,
Yeah.
right? And whereas you were along
on
one
the
of the
side.
walls, right? Okay.
Do I recognize these gentlemen from yesterday with my previous role, or
You did.
Oh, okay.
You do now.
Okay. Yeah. Light bulb. Like the torch lights up.
Correct.
Kepri smiles.
Yeah. I mean. I grab one of the drinks on the table beside me that has no doubt been cleared a little bit. Lord Apophis smiles upon me today. I will avenge my honor yet. And then I hold my kopesh and just wait.
When you say you hold it, you mean
I draw it, put it on the table.
okay. Sabine.
well, Sabine is, I'm presuming, sitting next to one of the lords and has her veil drawn up so as not to be too noticeable, and her eyes, constantly down while pretending to be one of her servants. But she does have a stiletto in her clothes that she's very covertly taking out, ready to get Stabby at any moment.
Stabbity.
Stabbity. Nice.
This is a new
Good new word.
new word.
Let's get stabbity.
That's the hashtag for tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Hashtag
Get
stabbity.
Stabby.
Okay. The man who Abik identified as Burza, the guard captain, says, "Where's that vermin Gru? I saw him come in here."
I know Gru.
He tried to sell me some Lotus. They kicked him out.
Make a persuasion roll.
That is a 19.
Okay. He stops and he says, "That way?"
Yes, out the door and around the corner. I tell him in earnest what direction
Right.
I saw him go.
Okay. All right. So he looks at you. He gives you a really nasty stare. He has a permanent sneer on his face. Really bad skin, and he takes your. How are you? Where's your bow staff?
It's kind of like, I kind of gotta
Oh, okay.
I'm standing on the floor with my hand up near.
Gotcha. So you're not being threatening to him, but you're also not being. You're right. You're standing at the ready.
Yeah.
Okay. So he takes in the room, and most of the people in the room, like I said, are kind of afternoon laborers. It's getting towards, the end of day. It's getting towards sunset, so it'll be getting busier sooner. But he starts to. He looks threateningly at you, and also more so at you, actually, with the sword drawn. But they make as if to leave, and then the captain looks across the room, and he sees that the guy who had left the room moments ago, he notices the door, and he starts walking towards the other side of the room.
Towards where I'm at.
Towards where you're at, right. He notices you.
Yeah.
Is he gonna be walking past me?
Yeah, because actually you said you were going to enter. Are you in my way?
Perhaps. Depends. What What is it you seek to do once you pass me?
I'm only going to warn you once. Move.
I move for no one.
So he draws his sword, and he...
Holding my attack.
All right. He swings, but he swings wildly, but you step back.
Alright.
All right. And we'll start back at the beginning for initiative.
So I was holding that attack.
You were holding your attack. That's right. Okay.
So I'm gonna make my attack roll. Oh, that's a natural 18 plus 5, 23.
Okay. You hit.
Alrighty, cool.
Which works.
Yeah,
This
he
guy
is-
is the guy behind the door.
I don't know. He's gonna take 5 points of bludgeoning damage.
Wow, that hurts.
Yeah, so that was
Arslan.
I'm gonna open the door
Okay.
and go to step inside, or at least look inside to see if there's anything that I need to worry about. I don't want someone coming up from behind me, but I also would rather have the door be open so that at least everybody involved can see what's happening.
So, as you
Assuming it's not locked.
it's not locked, and as you open the door, you see the room is dark. There is a candle that's lit, but it looks like it's been lit for a few hours because it's almost burned down to the nub. And you see that there's a guy. Well, I'm going to assume that it's a guy. We can assume that it's probably the man that you saw before, but maybe it isn't, because all at this point you see are 2 legs that are going through a window, climbing out. And he was a tall guy. He wasn't big, but he was tall, so he had some bulk to him. And he's not, it's taking him a second to get out, but his midsection is through the window.
Okay. I'm gonna go to the window to see him. I want to get a good. I want to get him where I can remember exactly what it looks like as much as possible.
Okay. So he falls out. The gravity does most of the work, and he slides out. And he looked disheveled before, and he looks disheveled again. And as
Is this a Lotus Den in his room?
No, it looked like it's a private room, like it's just a room. It could be for anything. It happens to have a table and
There were no people in here.
no other people in there except
Well,
him.
I assume the table is empty or not empty. Was there stuff going on?
There's a small jug and some half-eaten food.
Nothing out of the ordinary.
Right? Exactly. A plate with some food on it. Nothing out of the ordinary. Exactly. It looks like this guy was in this room for a little bit. And if he had anything, he took it with him. So as you go to the window to ascertain, you see he stands himself up. Sort of rights himself, and as he stands up, you get a sense of how tall he is. He's well over 6 feet tall, and you make eye contact with him again, and he looks at you with a very piercing negative eye, and you get the sense that you made an enemy that night, my friend. You don't know why. Maybe
I don't know why.
Maybe he doesn't like the way you look.
Maybe you were just there to help him. I don't know. But anyway, he gets a sense that maybe he's just misunderstood. So he looks, and then you see he runs off into what is becoming. It's twilight now, so it's still daylight, but he disappears, and they go. Let's see. Okay, he's going to take a swing at you.
Go for it.
19.
That'll hit.
Out.
Woof.
Five points.
Okay.
You legion of Khalifa dogs! No, I'm sorry, he doesn't say that. He doesn't say that. He doesn't say that. He says, he doesn't say anything, actually. He just sort of growls and oops. That's him with you. The other guy actually sort of broke off and was going in the direction of the. They were actually both going that way, but Alexides. And he makes his way towards where you are, and you see he gets to the almost to the practically to the door.
Is that the guy that just attacked me or somebody?
The other guy. There were two of them.
Well, as far as I can tell, this guy is attacking one of my compatriots.
Mm-hmm.
So, unfortunately for him, I'm going to get up. I walk over there, and I draw out from under the folds of my clothing my sword, my scimitar, and shield, and say, "You should have just gone and chased Gru." And I take a swing. I will feinting attack. So that is a maneuver. So I use my bonus action to feint, and I juke one direction and come back with my scimitar the other.
Oh, faint, not like an opossum.
It's all tactic.
So now I roll. Let's see if it works out for him. So I spend a superiority die to roll with advantage. Well, that is an 18 plus 6 for a 24 to hit.
Okay, you hit.
So he is going to take a d6 plus a d8 plus 6. Ooh. So he is going to take 4 plus 6. He takes 10 points of slashing damage.
Ah! Arabi scum!
And I will action surge. And I will attack him again. That is not going to hit an 11 against his armor class. And that is my turn. And
Anupam.
Yeah. That's going to suck for him.
Did you want to say something?
No, I said what I wanted to say.
Okay.
Okay.
Anupam.
It's like, you hit like my little sister. That's gonna be, yeah, it's probably not gonna hit. That's like an 11 to hit. But, you know what? Screw it. Flurry of blows. 2 attacks.
Sweet.
That's a 12. No.
Your little sister must be a weakling, too.
And second attack. That's a 15 to hit.
Okay, you hit him.
Alright, there you go. As he's making that little joke about my sister. That one's only going to be a d4 because it has to be unarmed. But that is 5 whole points of damage from my fist.
Boom, upside the head.
Yep.
How much?
5 points.
Okay. Nice. I mean, he's
Cannot look good.
He's not looking good. Kepri.
At this point, my companions have engaged the man. So I stand up, pick up my kopesh off the table, give it a little twirl, and I go walk over to the man, and I'm going to attempt to disarm him.
The one that they're fighting?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to attempt to disarm him.
Okay.
So,
This is an opposed roll.
Okay.
I'm going to use my final favor of Apophis to re-roll that.
I do not blame you.
Trying to
I
make
know
it...
you should switch dice too.
It's either
You know, that dice might
acrobatics
have already
or
gotten bad ones out.
athletics.
Okay.
Whichever you want.
There you go, yeah. Whenever invoking the
It's
favor
a
of
D20.
Apophis, use the black one.
Exactly. He knows what's up.
So it's either plus strength or plus dex, whichever one.
It's marginally better.
Better, technically.
Yeah. It's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
He trips.
Oops.
You rolled an 11?
I rolled a...
I mean, that was your final roll?
Yeah, final.
Okay, you were trying to disarm
Yeah, just
him.
trying to do it.
You feel that your Kopish locks with his scimitar, and for a second you feel his grip starts to slip, and but he holds tight for dear life, and spits out from rotten teeth a curse that you don't recognize, but you look for context clues and you understand the intent.
Something about my mother.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
About my lineage.
And Sabine.
Is it only this one man?
No, there's another guy that had just gotten to the that there was two of them, and the second one was crossing the room to see where you were going, and so there's one of them that's
But
engaged
not
with these three.
attacking.
He's not attacking. He's not attacking anybody at the moment. He's crossed the room and he hasn't gotten to the door yet, but he's almost there. You're still in the room, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I read? Am I able to read his intentions at all?
I mean.
Walking across the room.
I mean, he's walking with purpose. He's obviously, assuming that his captain can handle himself against whoever's,
But he's walking towards ours.
Well, he's walking towards the door that Arslan walked through.
Okay. In all the kerfuffle, I will move towards where they went.
Okay. You'll get there almost. You'll get there. You're on your way to that door. Next round, Arslan, what do you do?
I start to head back towards the door. Whoever it was you were looking for, he's gone.
These guys are locked in combat. So
Not the guy coming.
yeah. And he sees the room, and he sees the window.
He went out the window.
Yeah, and he sees the windows open.
And I still have my blade in hand. I'm not leaving myself open to a freebie.
Tell your friends to cease attacking the captain if they would not be branded as criminals.
You should let them pass. Whoever they were looking for is gone.
Capri.
So that was your. Okay, so that's what you did. Alexides.
I will lower my blade, but not my shield, and say, I attacked you only because you attacked my compatriot. It would seem that Gru and whoever else you were looking for are no longer here. I have no personal quarrel with you.
Anupam.
I won't attack, but I'll take a bonus action I'll just use my action to kind of like dodge. I'll just hold in a defensive position, but I won't attack.
Capri.
I stab him.
On the one hand, my sense of Kemish honor demands that I stab this man.
But on the other.
On the other hand, I quickly back off, whirling my Kopesh and off to the side, taking a step or two back to be within within strike, just out of strike, just striking distance, but.
Sabine.
Alright, so they are standing down. Can I tell at all what either the captain or this other man, what it looks like they're going to do?
Make an insight roll. And the other guardsman is with Arslan.
13.
Okay. The Burza, the man who was identified by Abik as Burza, the guards captain, he looks pissed, but he also looks injured and can tell that he's and outnumbered, right?
He's injured, but not stupid.
Right, exactly. right. So he looks angry, and you look like you get a sense that he's memorizing all the details of every one of your faces.
Oh, that'll take a good look.
Yeah, but he appears to be, as Alexides said, he's pissed but not stupid.
And the other man is.
He's there. He doesn't appear to be threatening Arslan in any way. He's the one that negotiated the standoff, or not the standoff, the stand
We don't
down.
have a quarrel with you, but we keep running into you in ways that are are uncomforting to all of us. We don't want to be in a fight with you. It seemed like you were attacking us, so we had to defend ourselves. The person you were looking for went out the window, Drew went out the other side, so it seems to me like you're about 15 minutes behind everyone.
He's panting, bleeding from numerous cuts, and he says, "This isn't over. Come!" And they leave.
You're right, it's not.
Don't push him on. This is going to cost me greatly in fees.
Yes, my friend. Discretion. I say as I sip the drink, and I realize this isn't my drink.
You see the two thugs that were in there. They didn't move the whole time.
They stayed in their seats.
They stayed in their seats and watched. Yeah. You see the serving maid comes out and starts righting the chairs and furniture. Yeah, and she says, "Thank you for your fast thinking and for your cool-headedness in disarming that situation."
I don't want any of us to be killing guards and bringing more problems on ourselves. So,
What did you say?
I don't want us to be killing guards and bringing more problems on ourselves. We have enough problems as it is.
Please have a seat. Let me get you a drink. Let me buy you a drink, she says.
Thank you. She's the one who was serving everybody's drinks. She's probably the proprietor or a family member, I assume.
And the man with the evil eye.
Yeah, we'll get to him. I'll come up soon enough.
So, where do you, having adrenaline having receded a little bit, what do you each?
And we can
What do you each do?
three of us,
Right.
but the two of them,
I'm just gonna go back to the table to rejoin a beak.
And a beak is gone.
Aha.
join us. Sorry that you got dragged into all this.
I go and I pick up my beverage, and I go and sit with the rest of the group.
I'll do the same.
Sabine, having blended into the background during the scuffle, without looking at all upset, still kind of veiled, comes back and sits down next to Peppery and takes her previous position of deference to her lords.
Is the package still intact?
I'm going to turn the table that way.
Is it still on the table?
No, beak
Don't
took it.
give
Very disappointed.
I am actually sad.
Don't give me
Now
During such shocking events, I left your package on the table.
Now we know what he does with all that E.
Hashtag.
Hope that doesn't
I mean-
become a hashtag. No.
I mean, hey man, going in dry is never a good experience.
Oh. Still, it's rancid.
Hashtag Stabity.
There we go. Let's keep that one.
Yeah.
She did not have to get, so she's
Get stabbity.
In the establishment, when she leaves to go get the drink, is the bar or whatever that she goes to, is it out in the open, or does she go back into a room to get a drink? Get drinks?
There's a counter, or well, how do I say that? There's a place where there's bottles that are kept, and it's behind a dividing wall.
When she goes back to speak, it'd be interesting to see if there's anything back behind there that would be worth knowing. where she went, she could be going back to speak to other people. I said it very quietly.
Yeah.
I can take care of her.
So we'll wait for her to come back. You
And,
okay? Are all of you okay? Any injuries that need to be taken care of?
I took a cut, but I'm fine.
Lord Apophis has seen fit to grace me with another day. Despite my best efforts.
That's not your drink. No. It's your drink.
The other drink.
This is your drink.
You everybody make a perception roll.
11.
12.
16.
15.
15.
Okay, you three notice not long after she goes to get the drinks, you hear a raised voice. You can't make out details, but you can, and it's
Same
slow,
accent as hers?
huh?
Same accent as hers?
It's not. It's not. She. No, it's not. It's not a woman's voice. It's a man's voice.
No, I mean like from the same place. Is the
Oh.
accent the same culture as her?
Yeah, you recognize it as it's probably a local accent. You can't. You don't hear the. You don't just can't make out the words, any specifics. And she comes out shortly thereafter with a pitcher and with a ceramic pitcher with 5 small cups, and she brings it out to the table and.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And coming out behind her is a man. Make a roll. Roll. You three roll history. Not you on a palm or Alexides.
Okay.
Make a history roll or.
22.
Okay. You know him as the owner of the place. That's the owner. That's Ali Benjara.
As he's coming out, that's the owner. That's quiet.
And he doesn't look happy. He's got a. He's looking at. He's throwing daggers to the back of her head as she walks out.
She's giving us free drinks.
And then you see his eye. Everybody make a perception roll.
No, 6.
10.
That's a 6.
14.
14.
14.
You notice his eyes, Ali's eyes, dart over to the 2 thugs in the corner.
I say quietly under my breath as I grab another drink, hoping it is my drink this time. Looking into my cup, I say, "Our dear serving maidens. What's the word? Owner? No.
Employer.
Employer has appeared to motion towards the 2 gentlemen at the edge there,
He didn't motion.
or had his eye made a look towards them.
Is concerned about the 2. Yeah.
Well, they did nothing. So maybe they were supposed to, and they didn't, and let the place get beat up a little, or something else.
Feel free to speculate. I merely bring it up.
Do we wish for
Keep
more
on.
information?
Oh, we're not done in this place.
I mean, on the 2 of them.
Perhaps.
Let's see how it plays out.
Is the proprietor coming in our direction?
No. He shakes his head to show his distress, and
Before she leaves,
good help is hard to find. She's obviously a great, ingrateful employee. So
When she gets here with the drinks, I'll say,
he harumphs and goes back into the.
can we also get something to eat? We'll pay for the food. I'd like to. After that, I'm a little bit hungry. And I have a question. That gentleman that was in the room, he looked at me like he knew me or something, and I don't know him off the top of my head. Who is he? And she obviously saw me saying that kind of stuff, walking up to them.
She says, him, and she
The tall one that was there,
What?
that you stepped between when I went to speak to him.
I have never seen before.
Insight check.
Every-
You don't need it.
She's lying. She talked to him. You saw it.
Everybody should make an insight check anyway.
Really?
That was a really fucking low roll either way.
Oh yeah. I rolled garbage, but I know she's lying.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's. I mean, you know, whatever.
For one reason or another, she'd be afraid to say something.
Well, it's 7.
Like,
What is your interest? What is your interest with him?
my interest
And with
him
me.
was that he gave me, it looked like he knew me, and I didn't recognize him. So, and then I went to ask him if I knew him from somewhere, or he knew me from somewhere. And then he gave me a look that was disconcerting, and then you stepped between the two of us as if there was some kind of danger. Is that not the case?
I honestly cannot speak for him. Perhaps he recognizes you or thinks he recognizes you. I cannot say. I do not know. I thank you for your display against that Pitai Berza.
Well, he could have gone much further if the time was right. Alas, it wasn't. It was in your establishment.
She says, he was here. Those black guards were here for Gru, he who accosted you when you first came in.
Dealer.
Yes, but
Then why did they not leave when I told them where Gru went?
that I cannot say. Perhaps they were suspicious. Perhaps they thought he might have been hiding in the back room where the man who you think recognized you was hiding.
They clearly saw that man go back there and went to follow him. Who is he?
He is a patriot. He is a man who would...
See, the king's back in control.
Shh! Shh!
Can't say also. I know you're gonna to make sure it's quiet, but at least she knows what it is.
And she puts her hands on her hips. What is that to you? To all of you?
I come from another land where the rule of the righteous serves the purposes of the many. It is of no personal import to myself, but I can see the value in such things.
Nobody at this table is happy about the way things are.
I raise my veil a bit and look her dead in the eyes and say with complete honesty, bringing back the kings would be very close to my heart.
We should not speak of this so openly here.
I am merely a stranger in a strange land. I have no interest in such things. I merely got caught up and forget it as soon as I am deep in my cups.
If what you speak is true, then perhaps he will speak with you.
Perhaps if he hadn't run out the window.
He thought that they were here for him.
We gotta do what we need to do.
You had heard, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Sabine. You had heard that in your intelligence, you had heard that the Legion of Caliph used to meet at a warehouse in the caravanserai, and about 2 months ago, the Black Guards had routed them out, and the 4 of them that they caught met a grisly end. She says, which is certainly speaks to their level of security, and she says, where can I find you, in case you should be agreeable to meeting with you?
I can be found in the bazaar.
We all can be found at Arslan's stall in the bazaar.
She says, actually, I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna retcon that. She tells you, sorry. She says, everybody, make a history roll. Well, actually, yeah, everybody make a history roll.
11.
13.
The dice hate me today.
Buddy. 21.
Madam?
8.
Okay, nice. Well, you want to roll high the next time, but
Oh, is that how we're supposed
yeah,
to do
it's-
this? Oh, man. I thought this was
I
a roll
read
under
the roll.
system.
Exactly, it is. So,
We did so good.
she says at midnight. At midnight, be at the old Jamia. Be at the old Jamia stables. And you know that the Jamia is the old University of Adashar, which has been, well, you do too, but actually you do know also, Scott, even though you botched your role. But you've been around long enough, so it's the university in the city. So, but it has been out of it hasn't been operational for you. This you don't necessarily know. You just know that Badashar had a university once, and to your knowledge, it still does. You know that
All the scholars were chased out and they fled with all the knowledge to other places. I know that part.
Right. So it's generally abandoned now, and it's used for other things. There's,
Old meetings?
Well, you never know.
And other things. Hashtag.
I was going to say boarding houses and,
And I'm sure hashtag Stavity.
Definitely hashtag Stabby.
Definitely. Hashtag stab.
Thank you. Let's have some food. Fill up before we leave.
Ah, yes, that'd be nice.
Salted fish.
Salted fish?
Of course.
The fish in Badashar is amazing.
So I've heard.
Probably not here, but there are other places it's probably amazing.
I'm sure you will direct me to them.
And food is brought, and
Yeah, whatever your
you
specialty
guys
is.
eat. Yeah. You see Ali Benjara comes out, and he sees you and has he looks more relieved that you're spending money, and has but still has a very petulant look on his face, like somebody who's still pissed on principle. Everybody make a perception roll.
Oof, 14. Eating the food.
12.
12.
17.
Okay.
It's good food.
What'd you roll?
Good food.
Oh, okay. 14 and 17. You both notice that, again, and it almost reflexively, he keeps noting the two thugs in the corner.
You're the owner, correct?
Yes, I am. I am the owner.
I want to thank you for the food. It's been delicious, and I know that we were comped some drinks, but I want to pay you because neither the establishment nor the staff should be suffering for whatever happened earlier. And I give them whatever amount would cover drinks. So the food will be covered with the bill. But I'd rather her not, your servant not knowing.
She is a young and foolish girl. She's a young and foolish girl.
I understand.
And just in case she heard, she may be that, but he doesn't necessarily rule his own house either. But but you get the sense that he is he's appreciative of it. He's and probably too uncomfortable by the kindness, by the good sportsmanship on your part to acknowledge it fully for what it is. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's what he thinks it is.
Oh, it totally is. But charity also, engenders a certain disdain in the person who's benefiting from the charity because he doesn't want you to think that you think you're better than he is. So, but anyway, he appreciates it. I mean, all things good, you salvaged a good situation. He's probably just a prick on spec, but he's happy. And so you eat, and he.
When we're done, we're clear out. But I don't want to stay too late because we have to figure out what we're going to do about this night. So, on midnight run.
You also all notice, because of such is the nature of people whose eyes are drawn to other people, you all at various times take note of the two thugs that are in the room. They look like locals, by the way. I mean, they look like they could be.
Have I ever seen them?
No. I mean, they look like bravos, I mean, they could be day laborers by, and then at night they chop bodies up, I mean, you just get the sense that they're toughs that are in the employ of somebody, or maybe you don't get the sense that they work for this guy, though.
They're just there.
Right. They don't work, they don't work for him. Yeah. And, but you all get the sense that over the course of his eyes, having drawn your eyes to them, you notice that they're also taking each of you in, taking your measure, not in any particularly threatening way, or they're just noticing you. I mean, if
They're
they
smart about what they do.
yeah, so they see you.
Do we want more information on
Oh yes, we do. I'm just not sure how to get it here.
Sabine, with a quick motion, takes, the veil and all that stuff off quickly to, kind of, way quicker and more dexterously than I do. Takes her hair down, top veils come off, she's in a more, sultry kind of thing underneath, and just sort of slinks over to their table. Hello, gentlemen. Do you buy a lady a drink?
And the two of them sit there. It was, and
I like it.
right, yeah. And the two of them, one of them looks at the other. One of them has they're both somewhat discomfited by your approach. They were not expecting it. And they both hesitate for a minute, and one of them says, "Be gone, girl. We have no need for your transaction here."
A dance then, perhaps?
I said go. The other one smiles at you in the nervous way that tough guys sometimes smile at a pretty girl. In the Galaji, socially awkward way that some tough guys smile at a pretty girl. But
Exactly what we wanted.
right, but he's not calling the shots there.
All right, I will. She will. doesn't have any pen or paper or anything. All right. So as she's leaving,
As you're leaving, Ali Benjara comes over to you and lays hands on you. And this is the owner of the place. And he says, please, my dear, come. Do not trouble these men, and do not trouble yourself. Come over here. You know, he.
Stories are away.
Yeah, and he's deferential to you in the way that old fools are deferential to pretty girls, and but he's also clearly intimidated by that situation, and so he escorts you back to your table, and then, brave soul that he is, makes himself scarce back into the wine room.
as he's escorting me away, I look at the one who smiled nervously at me and say, very well, I'm sure I could make use of your conveniences. In the back, are they? And I wink at the guy.
And he looks away.
When the roll comes to, I'll pay the bill.
Mhm.
We should move on. We'll see.
No doubt.
So I did not get any, from that guy, I did not get the impression that he might see if I'm there in the back.
Nose. This is a barber.
I mean,
Poor sucker gets jumped by 3 guys.
Get him!
well, were you going to leave? Were you going to leave from the front door?
I was going to go towards wherever the conveniences are, back door that people go out and,
Right.
piss out.
Right.
And to see if he would follow me back there. Or like if he would try to make an excuse to get away from the table, or if he was just, smiling awkwardly and
I mean, he-
not doing so.
Make an insight roll.
19 plus.
Okay. You got the sense from the way he looked away from you awkwardly that he probably wouldn't follow you out there. He's definitely, like I said, he's not calling the shots there. So, it would probably, it would,
Okay,
it would.
So we're not getting information that way. Right.
Or at least not now.
Right.
That is our opportunities can come back up.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. They seem like brave.
However, I really did like the boldness of your.
Tactic.
Yep.
Well, she's the bard.
I mean, yeah.
It's good.
It's on brand.
It's their job. It's their job to try to sleep with everyone.
Yeah, man.
Wait, that's what bards do?
Didn't you know?
I told that character last wrong then.
Yeah, it's in the player's handbook. Like at level 3, exactly. At level 3, you have to sleep with everyone.
Right.
At level 5, you become resistant.
Well, that's the class, right? Isn't that the class title?
2 levels. Oh my god.
When you get 9th level, right? That's the class title. Like, right? Fighter is Lord at 9th level. Bard is Ho.
Yeah.
Master Ho at 10.
Okay. But well done.
What would we care to do now?
This is outside the.
Yes.
This is out right. So.
Yeah, we've exited from this.
You left the Gilded Palm.
And is it dark yet? Because I think you were saying it was turning.
Yes.
Turning night. How far is it to the stable? Of the,
Well, you're going to. I mean, so first of all,
the distance, how much time we need. to
you're
really
you're
get there.
close. I mean, it's you're not far from there right now. You still have a few hours to go. Before you.
If we're gonna go to that meeting tonight,
We should prepare ourselves.
we should, and that should include having appropriate weapons, but also the appropriate attire to blend in. And are we already like appropriately dressed? I think we are for that.
I think so.
Kind of all like down.
Yeah.
Although I wouldn't say no to a short rest.
Yeah.
I would love a short rest.
Did anybody get injured? Did anybody? You got hit, and you're actually probably well, I don't know. You're a little tender, but not in.
No.
You're not in harm's way.
No,
Okay.
Not too much. It's just, like one hit die should do me fine.
Okay.
We can go back to the stall and everyone can get a little bit of rest in before we go. I think that might be a good thing to do. We have time.
You should probably also
Midnight is
maybe
5
figure
or
out what you're going to
hours.
do at midnight when you possibly
Yeah.
meet and/or are met there.
Yeah, we need to determine who. Weird.
Yeah.
Who are.
What happened? What's weird?
It just blinked out for a moment, came right back on.
I think it's the wireless service for the.
Oh. We should concern ourselves with who are we targeting tonight at midnight? Who are we trying to get through and to? We know that the main target is to find out about the priest and the book, but there's going to be people between them.
Well,
This is obviously our first entree into this
underworld.
this underworld of resistance to the current state.
However, it's important to remember that the group that we are being entreated to meet with is the Legion of Caliph, not the Watchers of the Eye.
Right.
There is
I
no
wonder if
doubt
they're-
some connection.
And Malik, the priest that we are searching for, went to the Watchers of the Eye.
There will be overlap. Perhaps not
Maybe.
directly in terms of working together, but it stands to reason that members of the Watchers may know members of Legion of Caliph. Simply because Vadishar is a web of unseen connections. People with their own aims and angles working behind the scenes through nefarious channels. And those who are against the current regime in any way will make use of each other. This may be the way that we find our way into the Watchers of the Eye. It may be a dead end. We must be prepared for either tonight.
Yeah, we may need to extract ourselves quietly or quickly if we don't feel like it is going to be fruitful. But I have concerns that it seemed very easy getting this invite. And I'm a little concerned that if it's that easy, maybe it could be attacked from outside. All it takes is a few people to overhear too much. Maybe these thugs work for the current regime that we're in there. Maybe they're watching.
Perhaps.
There's only one way to find out.
The keep was intimidated by them in his own establishment.
It could simply be because they are someone that he pays protection money to, or someone he does not.
Could be.
I was about to
something I
mention
was thinking.
a local crime lord, perhaps.
Yes.
That was my thought.
I suggest that it might be a good idea for two of us to stay behind and not attend the meeting, just in case something happens to the others. We could expect them by a certain time, and if they don't show up, we can begin to look for them.
Well, my thought was this. Perhaps not all of us attend this meeting, at least not in the stables. Some of us waiting outside. I myself am opposed to deceit, to be fair.
I am
But-
not opposed to deceit.
But
How have you survived so long?
very successfully up to this point. However, if I could be waiting perhaps outside, waiting for a signal of, I could very expeditiously make my way inside and assist if need be.
I can mirror the sentiment. I have heard cities called merely another form of the wild. I think I can use my talents to blend in and/or move about unseen. I would be, after all.
You mean outside of the?
Yes.
conclave or whatever.
After all, I did say I was merely a traveler from a foreign land and would forget this all after I was deep in my cups. I'm not opposed to the
Perhaps.
idea.
And the three of us going together.
I guess that will work, but we need to make sure that we understand places that they can see what's going on as much as possible. So maybe we should go scout the area quietly.
Perhaps a job for you.
Raise my hands in mock humble supplication. But of course, O King. The wry smile. So,
Yeah, so we want to go scout the area a little bit before we and we want to find positions for 2 people who will stay out, and 3 will go in. And that way, my thought is the 2 outside create our extraction plan if we need to get out and we need someone to cut a hole through a mass. or to be able to find a way through if you need to find our way through. I mean, I don't know the old school. It may have had weird paths through it and catacombs or whatever, not catacombs, but complicated ways in and out. So we should know it a little better than we do.
Yeah.
And it's early enough. If we went and scouted now, I don't think we would run into people who are planning on being very late at
Right.
midnight. So we'll probably have a couple of hours to really kind of see the grounds and understand what we're dealing with.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
So let's go scout.
Okay. And you do, and you reconnoiter the old university, the Jamia, as it were, which is now mostly given over to tenements, boarding houses, a couple of seedy taverns, and maybe even a brothel or 2. It's located actually not far from the old gate, which is still which you had seen. That was that beautiful, enormously proportioned gate from when a time 5,000 years ago when there may have been a wall in this part of the place, but it doesn't exist except for the wall of the gate there. It's dark. It's probably you probably, as you said, had a couple hours to go before your meeting. It's kind of a rundown part of town. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. Would I have had time to take a short rest?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. Just as will I will get
Perfect.
my action surge back.
yeah.
Action surge is a short rest. Makes it even more ridiculous.
Everybody make a perception roll.
Natural 20.
16.
4.
21.
It will deep in my cups and my first degree.
You were. Then you walk into a post.
Did you see? Had you seen? What did everybody roll? You rolled a 21 and
Nat 20.
natural 20.
19. He's the one that got a really bad roll.
I was
17 or higher.
I was looking for a shadowy alley to hide in, and I have found one.
Who? Did everybody? Had everybody seen the man that was in the back room that had gone into the back room?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We all
Okay.
Yeah, we all saw him in some way, shape, or form.
Okay. So you see a man looking like who very much matches the description of him. It's dark, and it's darker here than when you saw him in the lit tap room. But you see him walking down the street, carrying a package. It just looks like a package. And he,
Yay big?
Yay long.
He actually stole it from
No,
you.
he didn't take it back.
No, I got that thing back to the shop. I got good money for that.
Did he buy his own?
He's carrying some sort of a. It's hard to tell. I mean, it's a medium-sized package, and he goes into what looks like a.
I was waiting for it. I was waiting.
He walks into what looks like a tenement building.
Okay.
There are people outside on the street. It's a kind of it's a rundown part of town, but you're not in the slums. It's just a rundown, lower economically, part of town. So and you see him disappear inside. You're not far, and this is a few blocks from where you're supposed to meet him, if this is in fact him.
Yeah. Am I around everybody else, or are we like dispersed?
No, we're
All together.
Okay. I'll point him out. And be like, I just saw our old friend over there. The one who you helped escape through.
Who you're supposed to meet.
Who we're supposed to meet? Yeah.
Don't assume I helped him escape.
Oh.
He just escaped in front of me.
Oh.
That's how rumors get started.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Aha! Your friend says you helped him escape. Break him on the rack.
It's like, where did he come from?
And he went into, what did he go into? Just a building, just
Yeah.
a door, an unmarked, unnamed
A multi-story tenement building. It looks like it's a domicile where multiple families live.
We should be careful going into there.
Perhaps we should not go into there at all, but merely make note of where it is for
Yes, I agree.
potentially later investigation. If it is of
You won't know we
importance.
know where he stays, if that's where he lives.
Correct. Or perhaps he doesn't live there, perhaps they meet there, perhaps there are any number of reasons why he might enter this building, but we know that perhaps he has. Let us make note of it. But we have purpose. Let us continue.
Yes, we continue our reconnaissance. But we do pay attention to it. You know, as we go around it or whatever, we really do make sure, without staring at it.
Right.
We,
Yeah, you
we
take
it
note
all
of it.
in.
Right.
We take in the
Yeah.
alleys on the sides or whatever it is, unless it's right up against another building. Its height, how many floors it is.
She told you, more specifically, to meet at the old fountain in the Jamia.
Okay.
The old fountain, the courtyard of the fountain at the Jamia. Okay.
Okay. And I assume that's not this.
Correct. But you're a few blocks away from there.
Well,
This could be where he tidies up and takes a shower before he leads his sermon. You don't know.
sermon. We should still check out the area around the fountain.
But as you
Make sure we have a
pointed out,
plan.
those are potentially two separate entities.
Yeah.
So let's check. Let's get to the fountain and kind of see if there's people already gathering there. I mean, it could be the kind of place where people are just always there, in which case it's even easier. And then start in our mind, not in mind, just kind of mapping out the entrances and exits.
Continue with the plan.
Okay. And did you say that you were going to have two of you that were...
Two are going to stay out, but three are going to go into the
Yeah,
meeting.
I'm gonna stay outside.
Okay.
I will stay outside as well.
But you'll stay together, correct?
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
going.
want you to be separated.
No, I'm in with the eyesight of him. I'm gonna try and like hide in like shadow thing, just to make it not so obvious.
Right. You find an alcove that is, that you have field of vision for where where you are supposed to meet, and the rest of you, I assume, find somewhat discreet places in the. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but in that you go to that.
Okay. And then we want to see what the fountain area is like.
Okay.
We're going there in advance of the meeting.
Gotcha. It's deserted. It's an old fountain that hasn't worked in many years. But at least, I mean, the university has not been in operation for since right after the kings fled, so about 25 years. So that was probably the last time the fountain operated too in the courtyard. So it's
overgrown, or is it trampled down?
No, it's I mean, because this area is sort of used for for people to get through. This is not this isn't an abandoned part of town, right? So you do see, for example, now that you are there, you see that in the fountain bed is somebody sleeping in the bed of the fountain, and just looks, it's dark, so it's hard to see. But I mean, you're assuming that they're sleeping. I mean, it's if you watch long enough, you'll probably see a foot move or something, or maybe that's just a rigor mortis twitch. But you'll see you'll see signs of life. There's a dog walking through you see down an alleyway a few streets away, and then if you wait, you just wait.
We'll watch, take it all in, understand it, map 2 or 3 ways in and out that we can safely traverse once there's bodies filling the space. However many bodies, and it could be 10 people or it could be 150 people. We don't know what it's going to be. So, with either contingency, we want to be able to get in or out. Mm-hmm. And at that point, once we have that done, we should probably, exit the area and plan on coming back. Maybe go past that place where we saw the guy go in again on the way out. Just in case we see him again. So we'll head out and we'll go find a place to wait for a little bit.
Okay.
Some time.
I mean, and there's there are places to. I mean, there's taverns in Old Town. There's also places to get. There's coffee houses. So I mean, there's things that you can do. If you wanted to stop and get coffee. Yeah.
Stopping at the Starbucks,
Yeah.
Everybody make a perception roll.
15.
Dice, give it the dice, take
I
it
see
away.
nothing. I'm
See the
staring
wall.
at my
That's an
coffee.
8.
8. Well done.
11.
And what did you get?
16. Capri, what do your snake eyes see?
So, Kepri, what do your yellow eyes take in as you're after you leave the cafe house, you think you see the girl from the Gilded Palm turning a corner.
Does it look like she spotted us?
Maybe not. You didn't get. You got to look at her. You don't know if she got to look at you.
Our fair maiden has turned the corner. I am unsure whether she has made us or not.
Let's turn into the first place where we can see her, see where she goes.
I saw a coffee shop.
Yeah, we're not making it obvious, but we'll try to get off the street. So hopefully she hasn't seen us. If not, we can see where she goes.
You had seen her.
Suspicious.
Yeah, I mean, you had seen her turn a corner across the street. These are narrow alleys, narrow streets.
Oh, she didn't turn and come. She's not coming towards us.
She didn't. No.
Was she headed in the direction of the building where the other guy went to?
She seemed to be. You're not far from that building, actually, so she could have been coming from where he was.
Got it.
He was in that room eating. I wonder if they're a couple.
Husband and wife?
Well, maybe not that far, but a couple.
You know of once I speak.
He was he has a certain charm in a bad way, I think, to me. But I think he'd be very persuasive. She may be coming into this from a perspective of someone in love.
Possible. She is a young maid.
Youth do not equal stupidity.
Entirely possible.
True.
Let us not make assumptions past the wit of knowledge that we possess.
No. I'm just wondering.
Our dear Rubish merchant does put forth a reasonable conjecture, but we best not act on it, as you say, until we have more. Something to keep in our wits. The fact of the matter is, she is nearby. She is nearby, and she is involved in one form or another. She did seem to be coming from more or less from the area where the guy was.
Could have been.
Could have been. Right.
Yeah, that's a speculation we could make. It's not like coming from the opposite. So, well,
Do we dare to stay here until time is such as we should head over?
It might be worth following. I mean, there's nothing wrong with getting a little bit of extra information before we head in.
How much time do we have before?
Maybe an hour.
What do we stand to gain by following her versus what do we stand to lose if she realizes we are?
I'd say we stand to gain. I say we stand to lose quite a bit if we are discovered ahead of the meeting.
As do I. Hence why I do not believe it to be a good idea. She has extended to us within the purview of
Yes.
her good favor an invitation to such a meeting.
And we only have an hour. We'll know soon enough. At least more.
One way or another, we'll find out.
So we'll wait and then we'll head towards the place.
Patience is a virtue.
Who's for a game in the Senate?
Not what is this Senate?
Perhaps another time. It will take a bit longer. The rules can be a little complex. I'm sure you would like it, says with a wry smile.
We'll wait the time rather than go follow her.
Okay.
And then when it gets near midnight, we'll start heading over.
Like coffee.
Yeah, we'll have coffee.
Turkish coffee.
Oh, I love Turkish coffee.
Yeah. Whatever you put. That is showering coffee.
Khalif and coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Just like
Great!
Everybody gets advantage on mission rolls.
Right.
This is great! This is really great!
You seem a little jumpy. Lock your weapons.
I'm not gonna have any trouble sleeping tonight. So
Look how fast I can twirl it!
you get to the courtyard of the fountain, and the two of you find the place earlier where you can look a little surreptitiously from the shadows. And what about the rest of you? How do you approach this? What do you do?
We don't want to be the first ones in. That's the first thing.
No.
We want to wait a little bit, maybe see some other people go in, and then we'll go in. Assuming other people go in. This meeting could be all about us. I don't know.
Do we want to go in separately or together?
Together. We were seen together.
The three of
It's
us.
okay, the three of us, right. We were seen together. I don't think it would cause any harm for us to go in together. The two should definitely keep their eyes, on.
By the way, we should also work out how are you going to signal us in case you need us.
I assume
We draw our swords. That would be a good sign, I suppose.
I mean, will we have a position where we would have eyes on them at all times, or?
Well, I assumed if you went.
Yes, I mean I would. that's what my thought was.
Okay, I assumed if you went indoors, the screams would alert us. No doubt that you can handle yourself, but still.
Yeah, the signal is, oh god, we're all gonna die.
Okay, the signal is given. Let's go that way.
Okay. We wait. Does anyone else show up?
You wait. It's very quiet. from beyond a wall, you hear the sounds of some people laughing. And then you hear a dog barking. That continues in that fashion for some time. And then it gets very still. The silence broken by the occasional snore of the person who you know for sure is both awake and asleep in the bed of the fountain. And presently you hear the sound of a footfall crunching onto gravel. And you see this tall figure wearing a dark, kind of ratty cloak with dark hair shot through with gray in his beard and these intense, dark, smoldering eyes under heavy, bushy black eyebrows.
I know him.
And he says, "Which of you is the emissary of the exiled king?" And that's where we'll stop.
Shit.
Thank you for joining us this week. We hope you'll be back next week. Thank you.